This is National 5 Biology, Unit 3, Key Area 6, Part 4. We're going to look at speciation. Speciation is a topic that's been brought down from higher biology, but there's nothing in there that's going to be too taxing for somebody doing National 5. The first bit is very straightforward. Speciation is literally the formation of a new species. And a reminder from early on in the topic, one of the first things you learned in the first lesson was, what is the definition of a species? A species is a group of organisms that can interbreed and produce fertile offspring. Remember that second part's really important. It's often illustrated with a liger, which is an animal which you can breed a tiger and a lion, and the offspring is a liger. But if you want another liger, you still need to go back and get another tiger and lion and breed them together. When we're looking at speciation, we need to look at it as taking part in 4 stages. And we also need a long time period for this to happen as well. So it's not quick. You can be asked in detail about these different stages. So let's have a look at them. First of all, if you're going to develop a new species, there has to become some kind of barrier between members of a population to stop them being able to breed with each other anymore. So the barrier could be something like a geographical barrier. So that could be a formation of a desert or a sea or a mountain range that they can't get across. It could be an ecological barrier. There could be a different pH or a different temperature that all of them can't live in the same one. Or it could be a behavioural change. So, for example, there could be different mating seasons and the animals are not able to interbreed because of that. The second factor that we've got to have is once these groups have been separated from each other, each group will start to undergo mutations just randomly. And if these mutations are of an advantage, then they're going to be passed on to the next generation, as we've seen in the natural selection topic. That leads us nicely on to part 3, natural selection. Natural selection takes place automatically. Whatever the selection pressures are in these environments, so let's say that they've been separated out by a mountain range, and on one side of the mountains it's much colder than the other. The selection pressure to the north is that it's very cold, so cold is the selection pressure, and animals perhaps with a thicker, warmer coat are more likely to survive and pass on their genes. Whereas at the other side of the mountains it might be much hotter, and animals which have a finer, thinner coat might therefore be selected and pass on their genes to the next generation. So in each different area, the subpopulation there is going to be undergoing its own natural selection journey, passing on alleles that are favourable for that area. Finally, we need a very long period of time. We could be talking about millions of years. Each subpopulation is slowly changing and becoming best adapted to the environment that it's in. Speciation is said to have occurred when the populations could no longer interbreed. So if, for example, the barrier which had been keeping them apart was removed, they would no longer be able to interbreed and produce fertile offspring. And that's when you know a new species has evolved. Somebody's put in this little reminder, I must not smoke, to remind you what order they go in: isolation, barrier, mutation, adaptations, natural selection, and speciation.